Hello everyone, my name's Thane. Welcome to 1212 Fitness, and today we're going to be talking about the 7 essentials when it comes to building your chest. Now, I would imagine that you probably clicked this video because you've been struggling to make noticeable progress when it comes to working out and actually growing the chest. Or maybe you're here because you just don't know where to start. Now, you don't need to feel like you've been left out on this issue because building the chest is an accomplishment that really only few people can really say that they've mastered. I know that for myself, when I look at some of the legends like Arnold and Franco, and even some of the modern influencers like Alex Eubank and the late Joe Linder, it definitely seemed to me that building a good chest was like some sort of esoteric secret that only those in the professional bodybuilding and fitness influencer world seem to be able to accomplish. But seriously though, man, like some of these guys are nuts. It's like they've got their own built-in shelf or something. It's like, I look at that and I'm like, I need a sensor bar for that. But anyway, all that aside, I've got good news because today we're going to talk about the secret of what it takes to build an impressive chest no matter where you're at in your fitness journey. With this list, we're going to look at more than just specific chest exercises. And that's because when it comes to building the chest, it not only requires the proper strategic approach to how you perform those exercises, but it also matters how you allocate them within your workout. But nevertheless, let's get to it. Here are the 7 essentials when it comes to building your chest. All right, first off, number 1, perfecting your form.
Okay, first things first. No matter what chest exercise you do, it's not going to mean much if you're not actually activating the chest muscles as much as possible. In order to do this, there is a specific posture that you must always maintain while you're performing the exercise. And for some reason, this quintessential tip is rarely, if at all, mentioned from anything I've seen on the internet. Like, trust me, I've been around, I've done the digging, I've tried dozens of different exercises, but no. Nothing. Like, no, seriously, this was like for sure the biggest thing I was missing, and it literally took me years of trial and error to figure this out.
So in my 100% correct, professional, do not question me opinion,
I think this is what most people struggle with since the pecs are one of the least intuitive muscles to activate. The pecs deal mostly with bringing the arms out in front of the body, and this motion pretty much always additionally involves the shoulders and the triceps. And because of this, it's very easy to fall into the trap of allowing these muscles to take over the exercise. And the point of what we're trying to do here is to use the chest as much as possible. When performing a chest exercise, whether it's bench press, dips, or flies, whatever it might be, make sure that your upper back is tense so that your shoulders are up high, slightly back, and inward, and do your best to lock them in place. This allows your pecs to get a complete stretch and contraction while performing the motion of your exercise. And as you perform the exercise, you might feel tempted to move your shoulders out in front of your body as you bring your arms forward. Do your best to resist this and keep your upper back tight. This will ensure your pecs do the work of bringing your arms forward rather than your shoulders. And once again, you can see how this form carries into essentially every chest exercise.
Number 2, less is more.
So whenever I happen to get asked for lifting advice, which is not all the... it's... You know what? It happens, okay? Just trust me, okay? Oftentimes people will ask me, how can I quickly increase my bench as much as possible? And pretty much every time I answer that question, I essentially point them back to point number 1 and remind them that it's important to do it properly first. It can be very tempting to want to overload the bench press and try and get that 1 rep max up as high as possible so we can impress anyone who happens to ask. But the fact is, this caveman instinct of ours might very well be working against us in reaching our goal of actually growing the chest.
And here's the thing with this one, guys. I personally was guilty of doing this for way too long when I first started lifting weights. I was getting the bench numbers up, I was throwing those plates on, getting the barbell nice and heavy and throwing it around. But the problem was that my form was bad, my shoulders were doing all the work, and I got these big hulky shoulders and had this like shallow, lacking looking chest. And then the result was me just looking like this poorly drawn, like mutant Marvel comic villain something.
So rather than piling on the weight, let's start with a reasonably low weight, a weight that you'd feel comfortable warming up with, and perfect your motion as discussed in number 1. Then begin to incrementally add weight until enough resistance is provided to fatigue the pecs after about 6 to 10 reps, and the exercise can still be performed properly. I promise you there's no shame in reducing the weight to make sure that you're doing it properly. Now, obviously don't have it so low that you don't feel anything, but even if you've got just 5 pounds of resistance, people are more than likely not going to be looking at you like, what is this, sticks, Jim? Come on. But trust me, you'll be way better off than the buffoon doing whatever this is.
Number 3, technique.
So now that we know how to position our arms, we also need to fine-tune the motion our arms follow so that it maximizes both activation and tension in the pecs. When beginning your reps, lower or bring back the bar or cable, whatever you happen to be using, with a slow and steady motion. Your pecs will actually be activated during this part of the motion because the tension in your pecs will resist the free fall of the weight. For the purposes of hypertrophy, this is exactly what we want since we want to ensure the muscle is constantly activated and working as hard as possible. Once you've brought the weight all the way down, allow it to bring your arms back to allow for a deep and thorough stretch. Remember to anchor your shoulders where they're supposed to be as best as you can. After hitting that point, begin pushing forward with all you've got with an explosive push. Then, once you've pushed through the motion, keep pushing further than it feels necessary so that you can squeeze your pecs to finish it off with maximum usage of the muscle. Give a brief pause at this point and really feel the squeeze before slowly allowing the weight back down. Repeat this for each rep, ideally until failure, or until your face looks something like this and you sound like this.
Number 4, hitting every zone.
Different parts of the chest will be worked depending on how the pecs are bringing the arms forward. A forward motion with the arms moving upward will work the upper chest, and a forward motion with the arms moving downward will work the lower chest. It's important to incorporate every part of the chest as you work on it to ensure that the overall volume and definition improves with time. Many are surprised to learn that the upper and inner part of the chest actually contributes the most to an aesthetic chest. Achieve this by performing a bench press with a slight incline, some decline push-ups, or upper chest flies. Now for the lower chest, building the lower part of the pecs will help give some definition from the rest of the torso and create an aesthetic definition that will most certainly make for a covet-worthy chest. Try out the decline bench press, incline push-ups, or some dips in order to work the lower chest. Adjust these angles as you please to hit whatever part of the chest you want to focus on. A similar thing goes when it comes to working out the inner versus the outer part of the chest. If I want to try and get some width on the lower part of my chest with some chest flies, I'll bring my elbows out wide and high, but not to the point where it moves my shoulders out of position, and then bring them inward. Or say maybe I choose to do some dips. I'll widen my stance a little bit to allow my elbows to come out a bit more, and better activate the upper-outer part of the chest. If I want to hit the inner part of my chest, again with some cable flies, then I'll bring my elbows back a bit tighter to my body, and then bring them in along my side and get a nice tight squeeze at the end of the motion.
Number 5, start with the heavies and finish with the lighties.
Now this one admittedly is largely a personal preference, but this one has without question worked for me in allowing me to build up both strength and volume. After I've gotten a decent warm-up in, I like to start my workout with the heavier compounds, meaning workouts that incorporate multiple muscle groups with more weight, and work downwards to lighter, more isolated exercises. This will ensure that you have the maximum strength and energy for performing something of a higher strength demand like a bench press. Once you've gotten the most intense ones over with, move on to something a little easier like some dips or push-ups that will still involve compound movements, but involve less weight. Then you can finish off your chest day with something like chest flies or cable flies, where you can really focus on maximizing activation in the pec with a controlled and isolated motion that still works the muscle without over-fatiguing it.
Number 6, switch it up.
As time goes on, you'll find that certain workouts will get easier and you'll feel more comfortable doing them. Even when you gradually add weight in the form of progressive overload, you might find yourself getting to a point where you don't feel as much of a burn or pump upon completing an exercise or workout. If it's been a few weeks or months, you might be hitting a plateau. The best way to combat this is to shake things up a little bit. Incorporate some new and unfamiliar exercises that will still work the chest but in a slightly different way. For example, instead of starting with a barbell bench press, try using dumbbells instead. Instead of doing lower chest flies, give some incline push-ups a go. One specific example I like to do in my own workouts is a bench press superset that I've always done. Usually I'll do a heavy bench with the barbell and then superset it with one-hand dumbbell presses immediately after. Once I feel like I've plateaued doing this, I'll just swap the two. I'll start the heavier one-hand dumbbell bench press with each hand and then I'll superset it with a lighter barbell bench press to finish it off. Even just this little change allows me to take advantage of that extra stretch that is allowed when using the dumbbells and can really help target my inner chest while still maintaining my overall bench strength. After about 8 to 12 weeks of this, I'll usually switch back. The brain and muscles are surprisingly sensitive to these little changes, and you'll be sure to notice them after the workout, and you'll be pleased to feel the pump in your muscles once again. Get a rotation going where every 8 to 12 weeks you switch up an exercise or two to keep your muscles on edge and ensure steady progress.
And lastly, number 7, maintain your due diligence, focus on what works, and don't overdo it.
Working out and growing the chest is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. Chances are that it will take time to really figure out what works best for you. So be sure to try lots of different exercises to narrow down what you like and what gets you the results you want. Working out the chest is also one that you should exercise caution with. The motions involved with the chest exercises are often very demanding of the shoulders, and injuries and chronic pain are common if you're not careful. Always get a good stretch in with both the chest and the shoulders before a workout. You can do this with some lightweight mobility exercises with the shoulders with a 5-pound plate or a dumbbell to get the joints nice and lubricated and the blood flowing to the muscles. And please, just take it from me as somebody who has snap, crackle, popped both of their AC joints. This little tip can save you from years of shoulder pain. You might also feel compelled to do chest workouts more often than necessary. I know that when I first started to make noticeable progress, I got too excited and wanted to do chest workouts like 3 or 4 times a week. I would definitely not recommend this because in order to allow your muscles to grow, you actually need to give them enough time to recover. And with working out in general, make sure to get enough sleep and ensure your nutrition is dialed in and conducive to what you're trying to achieve.
So there you have it. Hopefully you found this video helpful in getting rid of the mystery or whatever stagnation you might be experiencing when trying to grow the chest. Just remember that building muscle is more of a marathon than it is a sprint. So please don't feel discouraged if it's been 3 months and you don't look like Arnold quite yet, because, well, look at me, I still don't. I think you'll come to find that there is tremendous satisfaction in building muscle and feeling a good pump after a really hard workout. All you got to do is just be consistent, be patient with yourself, give it the time, and the results will come. But other than that, thanks for sticking around with me, and we'll see you next time.
If you're looking for more information on fitness, bodybuilding, or weight loss, be sure to visit 1212fitness.com, where you'll find everything you'll need from nutrition tips, delicious recipes, workout plans, and even some fitness gear. Be sure to hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more awesome fitness content, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and find us on other platforms like Instagram and X. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.